Dinner's ready. Let's do this.
Did your mum pull it out at your house?
Yeah, it's just like, okay, the Broderick's gotta eat.
Yeah.
So, this is a continuation of last episode. Nora and I just want to talk about some great films that came out recently and see if we can't break them down, talk about some things that make them up, and show why we ourselves could have made those films because we understand them.
That's so true.
Okay. This is a continuation. Welcome to part 2 of Izac and Noah breaking down films in recent history. We broke down Banshees and we talked a little bit about After Sun.
In recent history.
Yeah.
6 months ago.
6 months ago, within the year. Recent history.
Super recent history.
Yeah. So, films that were considered in the last Oscars ceremony. Mm-hmm. Those films.
Yeah.
And maybe a film that wasn't. Who knows?
No.
One might come up.
The only movies we care about are
the ones at the Oscars. That's true. That's that's actually very valid.
Yeah. If it didn't get nominated, then it's just not
it's
very good.
You can't even call it a film.
No, I don't think so. No.
To be honest, it doesn't have its official film certificate.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
When the Oscars nominate you, they send you out a little thing that says, "Congratulations, you've actually made a film."
Yeah. Up until that point, you have to refer to it as a movie.
Yeah.
Go back to our earlier episodes. Okay, so we talked about Banshees. We talked a little bit about After Sun.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Tar now because we both feel amazing about that fucking movie.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
I loved it. It was brilliant.
Tar is a
movie.
A movie by Todd Field.
Yep, it stars...
I'm ashamed to say I had never seen a fucking Todd Field movie before this. Not one.
I don't think I had either.
Yeah, I had not seen it. And he writes and he directs, and when I pulled up a photo of him, when I googled Todd Field, I was like, holy shit, I know who that is. So for people who might not know, or might not know what a picture of this man looks like, he's Nick Nightingale. He's the pianist from Eyes Wide Shut.
Really?
Yeah, and he's an amazing actor in that film, and that might be a half-decent lead-in because... this film's cinematography, I'm going to say it, but it's very Kubrickian. It just is, like, the way in which this film's shot. There's so many shots in this film that look just like, especially Eyes Wide Shut. And this is probably a total coincidence. I'm obviously not saying that, Todd Field, the best thing he ever did was Eyes Wide Shut. Fuck no, obviously not. But, like, these long Steadicam shots that take up the entirety of the scene where you just follow somebody around from point A to point B and there's no cuts. Like that's pretty much, if you go and watch Eyes Wide Shut, that's pretty much how it's shot.
Yeah.
It's shot the same way and like almost the same lenses, I sort of feel, and like
the biggest example of that is the teaching scene.
That amazing.
Just because there's so much movement in it, it's like holy crap.
I want to say that scene's like 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. It's an extraordinary scene with amazing acting and amazing writing. Everything about it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Flawless camera movement. Whoever was focus pulling, like shit.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. There was not one thing about it where I was like, I love it so much. You said what you're going to say about who this movie stars and why they should have won an Oscar.
Oh yeah, okay. Right. Ooh. Will I say that? Yes, I will. Fuck it. We're entitled to our opinions, aren't we? Yep. Alright, so Cate Blanchett, Aussie. She's had one hell of a fucking career. Mm-hmm. She was the best actress of the year.
Yeah, in my opinion.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, she was fantastic.
I love, and we can say this because we've given lots of praise to Everything Everywhere. That is also one of the greatest films. Michelle Yeoh's fantastic.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Cate Blanchett is on another level. she gave like the best performance from an actress maybe this decade. It's her and Jessie Buckley in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. Jessie Buckley's the other one, but true. Like we're talking about a performance that is when we hit the end of the decade, I feel will be
like,
yes.
What was the best character study of the decade, and who was that character? It's like
it was probably Lydia Tarr.
From the moment that it opens up on her backstage, and she's it's probably a combination of the lighting and her hair color and everything. She looks like petrified. She looks like she's like made of stone, and like her eyebrows are like part of her face, and she is standing with this, like, her chin's a little bit too high for her body, like this. She's like trying to get into the mode, and she has all these like nervous tics and things, and I'm pretty sure her assistant even brings her, who by the way played brilliantly by that actress from Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I forget.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You know what? We're gonna name her.
Yeah, quickly.
Sorry.
Let's pull her name.
She's fucking. She needs to be in.
Oh, yeah.
At least more things that I've seen. Maybe I don't see enough things. Nomi Merlant, who plays her assistant.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Yeah, she constantly has in this movie all these little, because she's such a bloody control freak, which is a perfect sort of character to write if you're going to have the sequence of events that unfold onto her,
and have her in the occupation that she is.
That too. Yeah, it makes perfect sense for her. And she constantly has these like very obvious irritations of like little things that people do to her, and she needs to always sit the same way and do. She's like so beautifully controlled, and you can see when she's like starts to get annoyed and she starts to like itch herself more and do things, but like, and you can see it throughout the scene. And I don't even know if it was intentional. Cate Blanchett might just have done it. Like, I'm not convinced that she's thinking about, I don't know, scratching her face and doing this and doing. I think she was just probably in it. But my God, she is brilliant. Even in that opening scene where it's just, you know, the movie opens with literally like a Q&A segment, which if any bloody screenwriting teacher was ever to like critique a thing, they'd be like, well, that's the most boring way to open a movie ever. And it's like the most interesting thing to listen to ever, because you really get everything about her character. You get that this is like a well-rehearsed thing, because her assistant, Nomi, actress, sorry, I've forgotten the character's name, is up in the audience saying the words.
As well as other people.
Yeah, as well as other people. Yes, as she's saying them. And so it's...
Oh, yeah.
So it's you get this like idea that the movie itself has this barrier of control over the whole thing, and it's shot that way too. It's shot so precisely. There's like not a moment of like shaky camera in this movie, except at the end there's like half a little bit, but it's intentional because she's lost the bloody plot by then. But everything is so even like, I'm sure that they chose this intentionally, and I'm sure it's like some circumstance as well, because obviously she's this like 4-time award winner from each category, that like, you know, whatever that, I forget what the title for that specific.
Oh yeah, she's a she's recognized. It's some sort of abbreviation of the beginning.
A Tony, Grammy, an Oscar, and whatever the other one is. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
The point being that I love that they work her in to reality.
And a BAFTA.
And a BAFTA. So yeah, they work her into reality, and they're like, the only other people who've won such a thing are like Audrey Hepburn and all. Like, so they're like really committing to this idea that she's a real person in the real world, which is like, I think that gives the movie so much more of like a purpose and like a stake in reality. It really makes it feel more justified. And I bet somebody after this Googled, is Lydia Tarr a real human being?
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure. She's portrayed, I don't know, well, everything is very believable.
Super
in
believable.
The film. The only thing that's not believable is the fact that how did I not hear about this in the news when the news comes out?
Exactly, yeah. The movie is so convincing and so well done. It's such a testament to like how cleverly it's written and how well researched it's written, that you might leave it and be like, is this a biopic? Or is it at least based on a biopic? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember after I saw it, I went onto Letterboxd and read all the user reviews, and like all of the top ones were fantastic. People doing great shit on there where they were just like, I've been waiting for a Lydia Tarr biopic for years. She's my favourite musician. I'm so like, you know, people just taking a piss.
Yeah.
But it's such a
They
testament.
did Lydia dirty.
Yeah.
Like, all the...
But the fact that you can make those jokes and those jokes are funny is a testament to the fact that the movie makes you believe that she's real.
Yeah.
Like, she feels so damn real, the whole movie.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
I want to talk about something with the opening scene.
Yeah.
So, because you mentioned screenwriting teachers maybe having something to say about it.
Yeah.
And the big thing that jumps out is like, okay, so they're at a Q&A. Oh, what a great way to get across exposition. No, that's not
It's
what
not
it is.
exposition.
Because what it is, yes, you're finding out all these things about her career, her body of work, how highly acclaimed she is.
Yep.
But in its coverage and in the way that it's paced and in the way that it's performed, the scene is about how people react to hearing that again.
Yeah.
You get to see how Lydia Tarr reacts on her face to
Yeah.
hearing her praise,
Yeah.
which is what she's made up of. I think that's fair to say that is her whole identity.
Especially knowing that what this movie's about is that we're going to end up going into her personal life. To open the movie with her doing what she does, and it wouldn't have worked as well if we had opened it with her conducting, because when you're on stage watching somebody conduct, you're not looking at them. But like whenever there's a conductor on stage, you're not actually watching them really. You're like listening to the music, you're watching musicians, and their face is not there and you can't observe them.
Yeah, their backs to the audience.
There's no actual, or not really, an emotional connection with a conductor when you're watching them on stage. And it's nowhere near like something where, like, let's say there's like a lead singer performing at a concert or something. You can actually see their face, you can see them perform the song. Any member of the band, like especially when they're looking at the audience, interacting with them, you get a sense of them, and like you can project like I like this person, they're a cool person, without knowing anything about their lives, you know what I mean? So it works so much better to have her start at a Q&A segment, and it also works well for the film because it's like it's putting you in the world of everybody else who knows that she's a person who exists in reality, right? In the reality of the film. What Todd Field's going to show us is only what the audience in this universe and everybody who's just living their lives in the universe know of her as well. And then we'll get into her personal life, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the most brilliant way to do it because it sets you in the same reality as everybody in this universe is, in the same way that, like, if you see an actor being interviewed for press, which is what she's doing, you know, for press for whatever they're doing, you only see what they want you to see. You just see them being very agreeable, trying to be charming, trying to be intelligent, trying to come off like they're somebody who's worth listening to, so you watch their movie, like them, see their product, because nobody's going to buy anything of something they don't like, you know what I mean? So that's why that's there, to establish that, like, we're going to have the same understanding of Tar as the audience does, except for that little bit at the beginning where you can see that she's shitting bricks backstage, yeah. And when she puts it on, it's just like this nice little, like, okay, we know it's Todd Field giving you a little bit of, like, know that she's a real person behind this sort of front that's on stage a little bit. And then we see directly in the next scene there's sort of like another front, which makes more sense in context if you've seen the film twice, because there's this woman who's like frothing over Tar, like,
oh
my
yeah,
God,
in the lobby,
you're so amazing, blah blah, I love your handbag, I love your
pretty,
yeah, exactly,
impressionable
which makes
woman.
you right, exactly, but you wouldn't know that the first time.
I had some thoughts because we also get some beautiful cutaways from Nomi Merlant,
right,
and her reaction to
you might think there's some flirting going on here, a little bit, but you don't know the context of it. And the fact that Nomi is giving this look like, what are you doing, Tar, is given so much more depth
100%,
when you know what's going on.
And you don't get the answer, but you get forced to ask yourself the question, which is beautiful.
This movie,
and you also ask yourself, just before we move out of the first scene, you also have to ask yourself, why, amongst everything that's happening in this Q&A, do we get a shot of the back of this red-headed woman's head?
Yes.
Why did we cut away to her?
Yeah.
And then you find out later.
Yeah. This whole movie rides the line of doing the, I guess, Haneke's talked about this in interviews or whatnot. Like, there's a good trick in screenwriting. It's sort of essential to, like, writing something that has a lot of depth, which is, you have to leave the question open as to why is somebody doing this? Yeah. And if there's only one answer, then it's boring.
Totally.
And if there could be any answer, then it's stupid. There's got to be 2 possibilities, 3 possibilities as to why everything's happening here.
Less than a few.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then you go like, why do I feel like this is tense, but I don't really know?
Yeah.
And then the red hair is another thing we should... I probably just mention that now before I forget it. When you learn that student... Who
killed herself.
Commit suicide... There's a photo of her in the paper or in something, and you can't see her face in the paper. It's just hair. The hair's covering her face. Yeah. Which is
all you need to know about the beginning scene.
True, but they could have done her face and then showed her face again in the paper. And if she had like this big red hair, which clearly sticks out amongst the rest of the movie, because I don't think anybody else in the movie has this big red head of hair, you still would have known that it was the same girl who killed herself. But there's a reason she's faceless. It's because it means so much more that she's faceless. because it's like she's not a human being who killed herself anymore. She's more presented as like an idea or a stand-in for a lot of people who have killed themselves, or like
yes,
the concept of somebody
and
who
it could
has
be
done it.
also like the multiple people that Cate has potentially taken advantage
True.
of over the years.
She's nameless, faceless.
She's just one. Yes, there you go.
Yeah.
She's just the one who decided to kill herself.
Sure.
And then the only one also that media happened to pick up
Sure.
on.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is now where we've got a hitch.
Yep.
And in a chink in
That's the one.
Kate's armor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so brilliantly done. It also makes her like this weird
And she pops up later.
Yeah. It also makes her like this weird ghost-like entity, because there's a lot of stuff that happens
That's
in
a
the
good
movie.
way to put it. Yeah.
But because you don't know who she is and you can't actualize her as a real person, because we never met her, we never saw her say any words or interact with anybody. All we have to go off is this like idea of her. And so when Cate is like getting paranoid at night and stuff, and like going and checking, and she gets sent that book with has that little like specific inscription on it, and then she looks and the metronome's going at night and it's there, and it's like, how did that get there? We're never really
Who is
gonna
setting
know
the metronome, because
how-
it's not the door, though.
Right. It reminded me of Cachet. For anybody who's seen Haneke's Cachet Hidden, same thing. It was a little bit like, oh shit, how did... You know what I mean? Was it... Did she start the metronome? Like, what's going on? It leaves this beautiful piece of ambiguity. It's like, did she dream that? Because she got up at night and it was on and it was there. And then she even asks her kid, like, did you put the thing on?
She says no.
No. You're not supposed to be in there. It's like, yeah, I know, it's not...
All that, yeah. And she, not only does she pop up in the sense of like, is Tar, I'll throw the big word out, is she haunted? She's haunted in some way, psychologically maybe.
Right, she's paranoid at the very least.
Totally.
Yeah.
And, but also the woman with the red hair literally pops up.
Yeah.
In a few scenes.
Yeah.
It's very easy to miss. And I didn't see it until, because I watched Tar with my friend Calvin. What's up, Calvin? And he showed me afterwards, because I didn't see it in the film, in the flow of the film, which is perfect. Because someone in here saw it in the subconscious. You notice things without noticing them.
Yeah.
But I didn't take notice. And then Calvin showed me a bunch of breakdowns where it was like, oh you see this? There she is.
Right.
She's behind the curtain in this like dolly movement. She's literally in the room.
Better than I've seen all of
yeah, but she's there.
Right.
It's just like she's there and gone.
Right.
And it's just for little nods too.
Yeah.
If there a ghost in the house, is she? Yeah.
Right. She's in that wonderful dream sequence.
Oh god, yeah.
There's a few of those.
She's faceless there too.
Yeah, she is. It was my second time. The first time I saw it alone, and the second time I saw it with someone. And at the end of the movie, this person I saw it with, she was convinced that Tar was like this predator, essentially. And I was like, by the end of the movie, Todd Field's only really showing you what you need to see for him to make the point that he's trying to make, and for him to tell a certain type of story. There's nothing in the movie concrete enough to suggest that she actually is this horrible person. And there is enough in the movie to suggest, or not even to suggest, to show that she's definitely hid stuff under a rug, has a concerted effort towards doing it, lies to her family.
She's happy to manipulate people for the benefit of her career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to the benefit of her, to her art.
Her own pleasure as well. Yeah.
As well. There's a lot of reasons for her to be doing it, but whether or not she did this or not is one thing. And I remember this person I saw it with, she said that dream sequence was like, that was her remembering what she did to the girl. And I was like, no, you don't know that. That's a dream. There's nothing to say that that's a memory.
There's things with that, like if you're driving on the road and you can see a policeman, even if you are not doing anything wrong, you will...
Yeah, exactly.
It's a similar kind of thing. If that's the side of the story that you feel like you're leaning to.
Sure.
And I'm glad that, which is exactly what you're saying. Tar gives you both options.
Yeah.
Which is great, because as a member of the public, when you hear these stories,
you don't know.
You are given two options.
You are, yeah.
And obviously, we hope it's not the truth for multiple reasons. We hope the victim wasn't hurt in the way that we find out that they are.
Yeah.
If it's someone that you love, you hope that you can still love them.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
it happens, and we get put in the same position as Tar? And it's a very important question, especially in the modern age with cancel culture, that we're forced to ask ourselves when we hear news like this.
It makes you ask the question of like yourself or of anybody else you know or of anything like this, which is like, if somebody commits suicide and there's a bunch of emails saying that you're a bitch and this, that, and the third, but no definitive proof that you ever did anything unprofessional to this person, or like maybe you said some cruel words or hard, which is like, we'll go back to that music school scene in a minute.
Yeah, cool.
Could you be held accountable by the public for somebody's suicide? Because you could totally get cancelled over the public thinking that you made somebody kill themselves.
Yeah,
you absolutely could.
Very fair, yeah.
And then the next question is something like, is that your fault? How much of that is your fault? You can't ever really stop anybody from killing themselves. It's their decision, right? So what you can definitively say about Tar by the end of it is that had she been open, honest, and upfront with everything that had happened, she could always rest on that. But she was too concerned about everything blowing up in her face for her to not lie. So she lied.
Yeah.
And she lied to everybody. And like she even lied to her family and whatnot, and her wife. I think it's her wife. I don't know if they're married.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and she says...
The woman she's with.
Yeah. And she even says, like, whatever this cheating thing is with the cellist that you've got going on, like, I'm sure I could have gotten over that. But lying to your daughter and lying to her family about everything that's happened, that last shot where they have that argument, there's that great... It's just the scene's left on that shot of Cate, just like with this look on her face that you could not replicate in a million years. It's just amazing facial
But Cate
expression.
did it,
Yeah, well, she's brilliant. But like, you can't say whether or not for sure Cate did this or didn't do this. But what you can say for sure is that she lied in order to protect her reputation.
Yeah.
She, I guess, thought that it was worth the risk of her career. She put her career essentially over her family in terms of what she chose to value.
Which is wild, because that's actually what killed both in the end.
Yeah.
But she's such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
She couldn't,
Everything had to
she
be
decided to go all in.
You can totally understand why she does everything that she does.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, which is why it's so brilliant.
Yeah. She was willing to risk. She's like, okay, so I have my options are I can take like, let's just say a 20% loss on my reputation, but I still have 80%. But I would like to have 100% of my reputation, but if it blows up, I have 0%.
Right.
Perfect.
Which is how she does everything her entire life.
She has a condition with her hearing.
Right, yeah.
She's ultra sensitive, which is just...
Like that. And
it's great.
There's even that, I love the opening sequence of the film when they're introducing her, is this her getting her like tailor-made suit made, which says so much. It's just like...
She only wears tailor-made suits.
Well, specifically hand-cut, crafted, one-of-one obvious suits. But it's worked so well for a metaphor of anything in the movie, where it's like everything is specific, precise. Even the way her house is set up, like everything, that bookshelf where she has everything laid out perfectly, and like it's very definite and definitive. And her house even has all these like harsh angles in it. Everything's straight and everything's one color and everything's like bricked layout. You know, like everything's like that,
which is beautiful as well, because if you're looking at that as a director of photography, it's like, oh, so we have to shoot a setting where the person who owns the setting has an excellent understanding of color palette and harmony. Fantastic. Our film is going to look beautiful.
Right.
And we're going to be in orchestra settings. What do I call it? Just a stage?
A
theater, sorry. Theater. And
but it's like the most modern theater you've ever seen.
It's beautiful.
It's a beautiful, modern, like, so clean, so precise. I remember I saw this shot like the second time I went through and actually replayed it. So there's this shot before the last performance where somebody else is performing Cate's score. And there's the shot of like the opening, the top section of the theaters, the balcony, and all of the doors open at precisely the exact same time, and all the people flood into this shot. And I'm like, holy shit! Like this is just a shot of people walking into a theater. Yeah. But it says so much about the whole film. Yeah. I was like, wow! Like everything.
If you look at that as a director, it's like, you know that to pull off that shot, which is maybe in the film for 5 seconds. Yeah. There's a lot of coordination that goes into making sure that that's perfect.
Yeah, they will all walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
it's and go.
And go, yeah.
Let's do it.
And it's like, and we need them all to walk at a similar pace. So now you have to talk to
make sure you're
however many extras.
There's not one fucking goofy looking extra in this whole
who's like
movie.
bouncing up and down.
Which we can go to the scene of the that 10-minute, 15-minute, whatever the hell it is, where she goes to Juilliard, I think it's Juilliard, and those extras, not one of them is doing a bad performance. All the kids,
they all ask questions as well. They have lines.
There's a scene where Cate asks for a show of hands, and a few of them are confident enough to participate in her thing and put their hands up. She that guy who's there, who basically says like, Beethoven's not worth listening to, or not someone who we should be replicating or playing because he's cis white male, I think is what the line is, or something like that.
And then did he also say that Beethoven had a history of abuse or something?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, he did something. It was because he's white and...
That as well. And then Blanchett gives this big speech and essentially embarrasses him in front of the entirety of the class, or does her best to.
It's very savage.
Yeah.
It's very funny too, because it's could be a quiet nod to a very guilty conscience.
Exactly.
Cate has, yeah.
And you can also sort of tell, like, as she's doing this speech and ratting him out, that she's not necessarily totally comfortable with what she's doing, or she's not stable at least. She's doing her best to articulate to him why she doesn't think what he thinks. And she's very articulate, and she speaks... not only is it probably a good thing if you're a very well-trained... I'm assuming Cate Blanchett's done a lot of theatre that I don't know about. She speaks like in a movie with the most perfect articulation and diction, and she's so cleanly spoken, so well-spoken, that no matter what she's saying... If you were listening to it or not, you won't believe her. That's how well-spoken she is. But you can tell she's thrown off. But she's going to do it, and she's going to, like, embarrass this kid for his views, you know what I mean? And she might not even be thinking that she's trying to do it to embarrass him. She might just be doing it because she's so passionate about Beethoven that she has to defend him. You don't know exactly why she's so mad, but there's multiple reasons probably why she is so mad. And when he gets up and he's like, "You're a fucking bitch," and he gets up and walks off, she doesn't stop. She's like, "And you are a robot." And she keeps going. And also all the little movements that of the when they cut that video of her like abusing in class and do all that sort of stuff.
And they take it completely... Well, they do take it out of context.
Yeah.
They cut together things that she said that she didn't say in that.
The second time I watched that back, and I was like, Todd probably didn't even have to think so hard about what those bits needed to be in the writing of her monologue in order for it to be cut that way, because Tar just speaks like that. She's trying to be like super entertaining as a teacher and whatnot, you know what I mean? But it does raise some interesting questions about like classroom vernacular and like what would be considered too offensive to say in a class. Like at my university or whatever, our teachers would say a lot of shit. And like I never was put off by any of it, but I could definitely think that like some of it would have been like, can we say certain swear words or call certain people out or say this or that or in front of, you know what I mean? It's a university, and I think a lot of teachers have this approach of like, now that you're at a university and you're an adult, that this classroom is sort of an equal space for the exchanging of ideas. But it never feels like that. It's like when you're in school. And like it feels similar, right? Like no matter how much a teacher will push on you, like you should fight back against this idea, or you're allowed to disagree with me and that's good or whatever. It still feels like it's very at the end of the day, as a teacher talking, it's not like sitting around a table and having an open discussion about ideas. It's not the same thing.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's like that thing that Bo Burnham said in his Make Happy comedy special. He said, "Look, let's just bring the lights up. And let's take away the artifice, except all of you are sitting facing me, and I'm one person sitting facing you." It's like, this is not... And it's the same with a teacher at the front of a classroom, you know?
Yeah.
Or especially someone like Lydia Tarr, educating all of these people about music, and she has a BAFTA, a Grammy, an Oscar, you know, whatever it is, and these are all students. This is not an equal shared
Playing
space.
Field. Definitely not.
And it's a little silly to say that it is. And I feel like false, I guess, humility or humbleness is like... Yeah. It's very transparent, usually.
I agree.
Yeah. I got nothing else on that scene. I think you said it, bro.
It's a beautiful scene. Well, also, fucking camera movement, blocking, physical performances. I fucking love the moment where she goes up on the piano, plays the beautiful whatever, and this kid's knee just does not stop. And eventually she just goes, "Don't be so quick to discard somebody's entire life's work because of whatever the
Yeah.
norm was of the day, of history or whatever. You know what I mean? I love that. I love that his
great.
knee doesn't fucking stop the whole goddamn time. It adds so much to the scene because you notice it the whole time. And Todd doesn't draw attention to it, but it's so bloody blatant.
Yeah.
Because the lens doesn't change. It's one big bloody shot, which is what's so wonderful about it. You can look at whoever you want to look at any moment in the
Yeah.
scene, and Todd's not going to stop you. So
And everyone is on, so
Yeah.
you can look at them.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is Todd went about that scene maybe in the most difficult way that you could.
yeah,
Doing
absolutely.
it all in one shot.
It was not a harder way to do that.
No.
No.
And he still put it off to that level of,
And nobody dropped a line.
no.
Nobody mumbled once. I can't
I'd
go
love
fucking
to know
1
how
minute
many
without repeating a word.
takes.
Yeah.
It can't have been, I feel like, surely not over a dozen.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
I feel like, honestly, as fucking difficult as that is, I felt like Cate Blanchett probably went in there and knocked it out of the fucking park.
I think she did. I think she probably had it in 3.
Yeah.
And maybe if they
Yeah.
had to push on, it was,
Camera stuff or
yeah,
something else.
camera pulling focus,
An extra
blocking.
doing something
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, all that.
Yeah, it's a ludicrous scene. At the end of it, I was just like, holy shit, are we like halfway through the film? Because of like how I couldn't believe how long it had cut, and I'd paused it and it was like 30 minutes. We were like half an hour. It's like, holy shit, we've seen like 3 shots. It's been half an hour. Even that restaurant sequence, like in the scene just before that, where Kate's talking to the guy who ends up conducting her stuff at the end, and there's waiters coming through with like water bottle, like the bottle service at the table, and like pouring, and like it's this beautiful coordinated dance in this restaurant. It's just a dude pouring water into a cup, but like it's so perfect.
It's all considered.
Yeah. I love the another scene that like goes towards how we view people and how our impressions of people make up different things about who they are and all this stuff, which is when they're doing the auditions for who gets added to the orchestra or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And Tala looks under the door to see what her shoes are of the toilet, so that when she comes out on stage to give the audition, she knows who's performing and who isn't
Yeah.
to auditioning, which is like this other great thing of like, oh, the things that we're trying to put in place to remove bias against how we judge people or come up with decisions about how we're going to work with people, hire people, who we want to choose for a certain thing. They don't work, and people find a way around them, and we can try our best to do things like that, but it's actually not effective.
And not just that,
Yeah.
it gives Kate grounds to prove her non-bias
True,
to
yes.
people who aren't clever
Yeah,
enough.
exactly.
So now she has a perfect, well, I couldn't possibly
Right.
look at this thing that you've
Right.
set up for me. How could I?
Yeah.
But it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have the new student, potentially, who's come to this audition.
Mm-hmm.
And perhaps the new victim of
Right.
Lydia Tarr,
Right.
potentially. Now that we know that there's bias
Yeah.
towards her decision,
Mm-hmm.
it's been noted by her other colleagues that she's been known to be quite unpredictable,
Sure.
and she has far less experience.
Oh, it's worth saying, we know that there's bias watching the movie, but
yes,
they don't know.
but they don't know. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, no, totally. But it's suspected.
Yeah.
I think when the wife or girlfriend finds out who it is, because she comes to visit for tea or
Yeah.
something at the apartment,
Yeah.
she gets a little bit suspect
Yeah.
because she's not very well spoken.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's trying to figure out why Lydia would have picked her to be
Yes.
not only in the orchestra, but also the lead for that solo.
Yeah, when she does that really awkward scene in front of the orchestra where she's like, I think we should
Hold auditions.
have it. Well, first she says, I think the player should come from within our own ranks, considering what we've been through. I think it's COVID related, I think.
Yeah.
And the lead cellist of the orchestra is like all very happy. And it's like, and I think we should hold auditions. And the whole orchestra's like,
what?
And even you get this reaction out of her wife, who's like first violin, and she gives this look, and it's just like, you know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
It becomes a little more severe when obviously she rigs it by choosing that specific piece that the cellist knew how to play and all that sort of stuff. and gives like everybody a 2-day thing. So she's rigged it as best as she can. And the thing is, like, you think at that point, like, there's a little bit of art behind Cate's motivation. Like, she could be picking her because she's such a good player and she wants to do the best recording of the piece possible. But then it sort of becomes clear by the end that she's sort of falling for this girl a little bit. Like, it feels like that.
Yeah.
And when she's playing in the orchestra and Kate's like sort of like touching her on the arm and stuff, and you can see her wife, and her wife's just like eyeing her off, and she gives, I wish I knew her name, but she gives an immaculate performance. That little interaction on stage is like fantastic. You just know, like, from somebody's look in their face, and she does the best possible job of it. It's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
No, you're good. And she's obviously making lots of efforts to get to know the girl more. Like, she wants to meet her for coffee. She follows her into her apartment.
Yeah.
With that thing that she leaves in the car.
Yes. Yeah.
Right before she breaks her nose.
And she's probably thinking, "Oh, great! I got an excuse to."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then.
Which is brilliant. I'm going to talk a bit about the nose break thing.
Yeah. Do it. Yeah.
Because she is, obviously there's things happening in the news that are painting her to be an abuser.
Yeah.
And then suddenly, she trips, she breaks her nose, bruises it, whatever.
Yeah.
And she says, "I'm sorry, I was attacked."
Yeah.
Because Lydia Tarr is smart enough to know, okay, I'm not the abuser, I'm the victim.
Yeah.
Can you see I'm the victim?
Yeah.
Here's my nose.
Yeah,
I'm going to have it out on show for you, even though that's not what happened.
Yeah.
For my orchestra. I just love that. It just shows she's just a fantastic manipulator.
Yes.
Lydia Tarr.
Yeah.
She's very good, and it gets more and more transparent the more desperate she gets. But she's very good. And anyway, so something that happens, we might jump to the end of the film here, is she gets the gig to play at that Comic-Con or whatever in Asia.
Yeah.
And she plays that video game.
She plays Monster
Hunter music.
Yeah.
After this illustrious career, she's
Yeah.
going to conduct Monster Hunter, and she approaches it
Yeah.
the exact same way. She says that amazing thing in rehearsal to her group of players. She says, "Now, I want us to think about the conductors, about the writer's intent."
Intent of the piece, yes.
And they have that beautiful shot where they pan to the crowd and everyone is in costume.
Yeah, everyone's cosplay.
And this is clearly not something serious, but when she's in Asia, obviously her wife has left her at this point. She goes to, how do I say, like a brothel? She goes to a brothel.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she doesn't know that it's a brothel.
She doesn't.
Well, she might not know.
Right.
Says, "I'm looking for a massage, or like a place, can you help me have one," or whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy says, "Oh yeah, of course," but he assumes that she means a brothel.
Also because of the news, probably, maybe.
Maybe, who knows? Or
Maybe
that
he
might
has
just
no
be,
idea.
That might just be code there.
Yeah, true.
And so,
True.
I don't know. But anyhow.
There's something to be said about, well, obviously there's all the stereotypes about Asian massage parlors
Right,
having
exactly.
extras and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when she goes, she eyes off, they all sit in a semicircle.
Yep.
In multiple rows.
Yep.
The girls. It's the one that she eyes off and that the camera has a slow push into before Cate excuses herself and goes to throw up.
Yeah.
She is seated in the exact same position as the young girl in the orchestra that she's been.
First cello now.
Yeah,
Cello
it's the same.
It would have been great to try and have to find a room in. Is it Vietnam where they are?
I think so. I can't remember.
I don't know where they are.
It's in Asia. Yeah.
Wherever they are in Asia, to have to find that parlor that had the same layout as like
a semicircle layout. Yeah.
A semicircle full orchestra layout. So that would have been great to try and find that. And of course, I mean, it goes without saying, but like when you perform on stage in an orchestra, you're in uniform, some sort of uniform, like whether even if you're all just in suits or whatever they're all in uniform waiting for her sort of to like pick whatever it is, and then she goes and throws up.
Yeah.
Which is probably the only not Steadicam shot in the film.
Yeah.
Or like the one where it is not so,
And it's I think maybe she realizes that she's in the same position of power.
Yeah.
Picking someone from the orchestra.
Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
For her own, but this time it is open, it is for her pleasure.
Yes.
And she's just a customer.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's really sickening. And I think it's just finally whether or not, because we're in that space where we don't know if she did it or not.
Yeah.
Where even if Tar didn't do it, she's at that whorehouse picking, right?
Sure, yeah.
And she's like, maybe there is a part of me that is that person that they say that I am.
There was some...
And it makes her sick.
There was some intent. There were at least lies. I think that's the point, is that there were lies. At some point, I'm going to, if we ever do episodes of this podcast where we just get to recommend things, I'm just going to force everybody here to watch Cate, the Haneke movie, because it's the same similar sort of thing where it's like, it doesn't really matter who did what or anything, or even how they did it. That's not really important. What's important is that you need to take responsibility for something that you did.
Yeah.
You don't have to take responsibility for these acts that might have happened, but the thing that you did was lie. You didn't tell everybody what was going on, and not telling somebody is lying. It's not like, I would have told you about that thing that you had no idea to ask me about. That's not good enough. That's still a lie.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, maybe that's
it's all about withholding truth, and it's whether it's because you've not brought up the topic or you've misled, it's withholding truth. That's what lying is. Yeah. And the truth will set you free, always. Whatever your freedom is that awaits you.
Yeah, I love also that parallel where she ends up taking that boat ride in that little, and she's like, well, I can't put my hand in the water with sharks or something, which is like a parallel to that thing that she mentions right at the beginning of the film in the Q&A, when she's like, that composer who I looked up to who went to some ancient tribe in whatever the hell, you know what I mean? To find some secrets of music. And by the end of the film, I actually thought that's what was going to happen. I thought, knowing that she had nowhere else to go, she would look to music for her salvation, which she does. She goes home to her place and looks at all her music awards and watches that tape on the thing.
Oh boy.
Balls are right, which is the best fucking scene ever.
I saw an interview with Todd where Cate was only meant to, the scene that's written, Cate is just meant to watch the tape.
Right.
And look sad.
Right.
That's what it says.
Right.
And then Cate it was meant to be an incredibly short scene.
Right.
And the brother was meant to come in and interrupt.
Oh,
and she's like, oh, okay. And Todd was so happy explaining this. He said, but then Cate started doing something else. And she starts bawling. She has that amazing cry on camera.
But you totally believe it too.
100%.
Because that's her thing that she loves most.
Yeah.
And it's
she's wearing the medal
Yeah.
while she watches it too.
She has to try to remind herself why she came into this in the first place.
Yeah.
To do this music thing. And I love that. I don't think the fact that the game is Monster Hunter and it's a cosplay convention is a coincidence either. Because they're all in what looks like tribal attire, which is the story she said at the start. It's that woman who was that brilliant composer or whatever, I can't remember if it was a woman or not, went to that place to navigate to find that, tribe that taught her the secrets of music. And so now she's going to try and do the same thing. But there's this thing about her where it's Tar's a phony, and this woman who she looks up to is not, regardless of the fact that we know if this composer is or isn't. It's sort of irrelevant. Tar views her as a super important musical figure who's very important, very dedicated, a real artist, and therefore she went to this tribe to find this real secret of music. And now that it's come to Tar, she ends up finding a tribe of some sort, but it's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah. It's not, there's no secret here.
It's music written for a video game.
For a phony tribe, for a bunch of people in cosplay, for a video game, which is such a great little...
Oh yeah, right, they're in costume.
Yeah,
That's
they
not
are.
their general attire.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they're all playing a bunch of tribal people. It's a big fake video, it's a video game, it's not reality, you know what I mean? So because she was a fraud, she gets rewarded with a fraudulent tribal performance musical thing, whereas this other composer obviously got some real earth shit. Which is lovely. I love that little... Todd was great, man. I can't believe he... I knew nothing about this guy, and he comes through with one of the best written movies I've seen this decade. And we're only just starting, but this will be in the top 10
of the
decade.
Yeah, and Cate's performance will be high.
Oh yeah,
very high on the list. It's my favorite of her career. I think I've seen.
Yeah, probably. I have to go back.
Yeah,
to be honest.
I haven't seen Blue Jasmine, so I need to bite my tongue and then go watch Blue Jasmine. I think
this is better than Blue Jasmine.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you for listening. That was Tar, analysed by Noah Jerometta and Izac Broderick. We're going to be doing Everything Everywhere All at Once sometime soon. That'll be the next one that we talk about. Mm-hmm. Maybe Jackson's here, maybe he's not.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if he's free.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for listening. Go see Tar if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it and you're now at the end of the episode, I am so sorry to hear that is the case.
Yeah, you really wanted to hear us talk about it so bad that you wouldn't go watch it yourself.
Yeah, that's really, you should really look at yourself.
We're not important here. Go watch the movie.
Go
watch the movie.
Okay, but tune in next time. Thank you for listening.